There was a time when America's biggest fast food company wasn't McDonald's. It wasn't Burger King. It wasn't KFC. It was a root beer brand most younger Americans barely talk about today. And that alone should raise a question. Because companies don't simply disappear from cultural relevance by accident. Especially not companies that once dominated entire generations of American life. What makes A&W fascinating is not just that it declined, but how it declined. Slowly, quietly, almost invisibly. No dramatic collapse, no giant scandal, no single disaster people can point to. Instead, the company got trapped inside a much larger transformation happening across America itself. A transformation that changed how restaurants were designed, how consumers behaved, and even how people spent time together outside their homes. In the early decades of the 20th century, America was becoming a country built around movement. Cars were spreading rapidly. Roads expanded further every year. Small roadside businesses suddenly had access to customers traveling between cities, towns, and highways. And during that period, restaurants were not yet engineered around speed the way they are today. Eating outside the home still felt like an experience, something social, something people planned around. That environment created the perfect conditions for companies like A&W to grow. The business began at a time when roadside food stands were becoming symbols of modern American mobility. Families traveling long distances needed places to stop. Teenagers with cars needed places to gather. Workers needed spaces to relax after long days. A&W fit naturally into all three worlds at once. But the company's real advantage wasn't root beer. It was atmosphere. That's the part most people misunderstand today. Modern fast food chains are usually remembered for products, burgers, fries, chicken sandwiches. But older restaurant chains often succeeded because of the environment surrounding the food itself. And A&W became extremely good at creating environments people emotionally connected with. In many towns, the restaurant parking lot almost functioned like public social space. Young couples sat inside parked cars talking for hours. Groups of teenagers gathered there after football games. Families treated visits like weekly rituals. People remembered conversations that happened there more than the meals themselves. And when customers build emotional memories around a place, the business becomes much harder to replace. For decades, that emotional connection helped A&W expand across America at an incredible pace. But underneath the growth, there was a structural weakness forming that most people couldn't see yet. The company was growing geographically faster than it was growing operationally. Different locations often felt completely different from one another. Some acted like modern restaurants. Others behaved more like independent local diners sharing the same logo. At first, that flexibility helped the company spread quickly. Local owners could adapt restaurants to local communities. Menus changed slightly between regions. Some locations leaned heavily into car culture. Others focused more on family dining. The brand felt flexible, local, and personal. But flexibility becomes dangerous once industries start industrializing. And during the middle of the 20th century, the restaurant industry began industrializing aggressively. Companies started realizing that consistency could become more powerful than personality. Instead of creating unique experiences, corporations began creating repeatable systems. Same menu, same layout, same workflow, same customer expectations. Everything measurable, everything optimized. That shift changed the meaning of fast food entirely. Restaurants stopped functioning mainly as gathering places and started functioning more like high-speed consumption systems. The faster customers moved through the process, the more profitable the business became. Suddenly, lingering became inefficiency. Conversation became delay. Atmosphere became secondary to throughput. And this is where A&W slowly started losing alignment with the direction America itself was moving toward. Because the company had been built during an era when consumers still valued the experience surrounding the meal. But newer corporate chains were being built for a completely different type of society. Faster suburbs, faster schedules, faster highways, faster consumption. One of the biggest mistakes people make when analyzing old companies is assuming products alone determine survival. They don't. Businesses survive when their structure matches the culture around them. And A&W's structure increasingly belonged to an older America while competitors were adapting to a newer one. As suburban expansion accelerated after World War II, corporations realized that speed could scale far more efficiently than atmosphere. Drive-thrus exploded in popularity because they reduced labor costs and increased customer volume. Large chains became obsessed with operational efficiency. Kitchen layouts became scientific. Food preparation became standardized. Employee behavior became scripted. Meanwhile, many A&W locations still depended heavily on slower, experience-driven environments. And experience-driven businesses become difficult to standardize at national scale because emotional connection cannot be manufactured the same way operational systems can. Then came another major problem. Ownership instability. Across different decades, the company passed through multiple corporate hands. And every new leadership group tried solving the same problem from a different angle. Some focused on modernization. Others focused on expansion. Others tried simplifying operations. But many of those decisions slowly stripped away the subtle characteristics that made A&W emotionally distinct in the first place. This happens more often than people realize in corporate history. Executives usually know how to optimize measurable systems. But emotional attachment is much harder to quantify. You can calculate labor efficiency. You can measure sales per square foot. You can track customer traffic. But it's much harder to calculate why certain places feel memorable while others feel disposable. And once corporations begin prioritizing efficiency too aggressively, brands often lose their emotional texture. The business still technically exists, but the feeling people associated with it slowly disappears. That emotional erosion became increasingly visible as newer generations grew up surrounded by different fast food experiences entirely. Younger customers built memories around drive-thrus, delivery systems, shopping mall food courts, and national advertising campaigns dominated by giant corporations. A&W no longer occupied the cultural center it once controlled. But strangely, the company never completely disappeared. And that's important. Because total collapse would actually make this story simpler. Instead, A&W entered a strange middle state. No longer culturally dominant. No longer defining the industry. But still surviving in scattered parts of America where customers remained emotionally attached to what the brand represented. And maybe that reveals something deeper about how people interact with businesses. Consumers don't only buy products. They buy familiarity, ritual, atmosphere, identity. And older restaurant chains often understood those emotional layers better than modern optimization-driven corporations do. This is the uncovered context. If you're new here, subscribe. Because once you start noticing how corporations quietly reshape culture, behavior, and even human interaction itself, you begin seeing these patterns everywhere.